Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are on a very practical mission. We're trying to navigate the night sky without falling into all those common traps that get every beginner.
We are. We're doing a deep dive into Night Watch, a practical guide to viewing the universe by Terence Dickinson.
And this book is, well, it's pretty much called the gold standard for a reason.
Right, absolutely. I mean, if you've ever Googled how to start amateur astronomy, this book is on every single list. It's been the go-to recommendation for astronomy clubs and educators for decades.
So our goal today is to basically give you the essential distilled wisdom from this classic. We want to give you a shortcut, really the critical insights on gear, technique, and maybe most importantly, expectations.
Exactly. So you can bypass all that initial confusion and just start observing effectively. Tonight, even.
We've synthesized everything, the core lessons, the reviews, even some of the criticisms and the specific advice.
You're getting the actionable knowledge that lets you step outside, confidently without wasting a bunch of money or getting so frustrated you just give up.
Okay, so let's unpack the foundation of the book. Night Watch is kind of remarkable because it's so accessible for an absolute beginner, but even seasoned amateurs keep it on the shelf. What makes it stick?
It's the clarity. It's the clarity, and it's this deliberate refusal to, glamorize things. Dickinson starts right where you are, just looking up with your own eyes.
No equipment, just you and the sky.
Right. He explains light pollution, how the sky moves through the seasons, and gives you this really simple, fundamental grasp of celestial coordinates, how we actually map the universe. It's all very methodical, not mystical.
And that initial grounding is so essential. It fights that instant aperture fever that new people get.
What's that?
The assumption that you need a giant, expensive telescope to see anything at all. But the book starts by teaching you the rules of the road first.
Precisely. And that leads to its greatest strength, which you see mentioned in every single review. Its relentless commitment to realistic expectations. Mm-hmm. It actively works against the glossy ads for those cheap department store telescopes. It tells you what a small, affordable piece of equipment actually shows you.
So you don't have that crushing disappointment when you look at an eyepiece and just see a little gray smudge instead of a Hubble photo.
That's the one. That feeling has probably killed more astronomy careers than anything else.
Let's pivot right into that equipment discussion then, because that's where beginners either make or break the hobby financially. The guide is really clear about the first piece of gear you should buy.
Oh, it's unequivocal. The first core lesson is just so simple. Skip the cheap telescopes entirely. Start with binoculars.
Specifically, he recommends 7x50 or 10x50 models.
Yep.
For someone new, those numbers are just jargon. What does 7x50 even mean, and why is that the sweet spot?
Okay, so the first number, the 7 or the 10, that's your magnification. The second number, the 50, is the diameter of the big lenses at the front in millimeters. That's the aperture, the light gathering power.
And in astronomy, light gathering is way more important than magnification.
Vastly more important. A 7x50 binocular gives you this wide, bright view of the sky, which makes things easy to find. And it's low power enough that you can hold it pretty steady without a tripod.
Right, if you go too high, like 15x, the image just gets all shaky and narrow.
And the joy is just gone.
Yeah, so the advantage is just practical. It's low cost, it's easy to use, and you get a wide field of view for finding big things like the Pleiades or the Andromeda Galaxy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And while the guide does explain the difference between reflectors and refractors, and it clarifies what magnification really means, the whole message is, don't spend serious money until you actually know the sky.
Because a bad beginner telescope, the ones with the wobbly plastic tripods and terrible lenses,
will just kill the hobby instantly. You get that awful color fringing, and it's just a miserable experience.
Which sets the stage for the second big truth that Dickinson really drives home. It goes beyond the equipment itself.
This is the amateur astronomer's mantra. Dark skies matter more than equipment. It's the context, not the cost.
So a cheap pair of binoculars under a really dark rural sky
will show you vastly more structure in the Milky Way than a multi-$1,000 telescope in the middle of the city.
That's a critical point for you, the listener, especially if you live in a city. It means your money might be better spent on gas to get to a dark site, not on a new eyepiece.
For sure. He's essentially teaching the principles of the Bortle scale, which measures sky darkness. You want to get as far from the city center as you can. Light pollution doesn't just block faint things, it floods your eye and stops it from adapting properly.
We should probably mention one acknowledged weakness of the equipment section, though.
Right, the philosophy is timeless, but the specific brands or models he might have mentioned in older editions Well, they can be a bit outdated. Technology moves fast.
But the principle, 7x50, sturdy, good quality, that's solid.
That's rock solid.
Okay, so we've got our binoculars, we've driven out to a dark spot. The next big hurdle is technique. Astronomy requires skills that are a bit counterintuitive to modern life.
It does. And the third major lesson is all about mastering how to see.
And that's not just about pointing the binoculars in the right direction.
No, it's about patience, first and foremost. But it's also about deliberate observation techniques. Dickinson walks you through the physiology of dark adaptation.
Right, your eyes need what, 20 or 30 minutes to adjust?
At least 20 to 30 minutes just sitting there quietly, using only a red flashlight to look at your charts. If you glance at your phone screen.
You reset the whole process. Back to square one.
Yep, your night vision is gone.
So once we're dark adapted, how does the book teach us to find things that we can't see with the naked eye?
That's where he introduces star hopping. This is the core navigation skill the guide champions.
So instead of just pointing and hoping,
use a bright, easy star, say one in the handle of the Big Dipper, as your starting point. Then you move your binoculars in these small, calculated leaps to fainter stars nearby until you land on your target. A galaxy, a nebula, whatever it is.
This focus on manual navigation, it ties right into the genius of his star charts, doesn't it? He really pushes you to use physical charts, a planisphere.
He does.
In the age of apps like Stellarium or Skyview, which can tell you what you're pointing at instantly, why insist on the old analog method? Isn't that just redundant?
It's absolutely essential, and this is where the guide builds true, lasting skill. I mean, think about it. When you use an app that just overlays the constellations on your phone screen, your brain doesn't actually learn the relationships between the stars.
You're just following a digital arrow.
Exactly. But using a paper chart forces you to identify the major constellations yourself, to understand the scale of the sky, and to build a cognitive map of it. That spatial awareness is what lets you truly appreciate the sky, instead of just using it for a high-tech scavenger hunt.
That's a fantastic insight. It's about building an instinct, not just relying on GPS. So let's talk about the targets. The book moves into deep sky objects like M31, the Andromeda Galaxy, or the Pleiades.
M45, yeah. And this section is praised because of its layered approach. For something like the Orion Nebula, he'll describe what it looks like with your naked eye, just a fuzzy star. Then what binoculars add, which is a definite cloudiness. And then what a small telescope reveals.
It's all about managing expectations again.
All about it. Which brings us to the fourth major truth the book demands we accept. The deep sky reality.
You mean knowing what you're looking at won't look like a postcard from NASA?
Precisely. The book gives you that critical dose of reality. You're seeing light that is millions of years old with a small mirror in your backyard, galaxies, nebulae. They're almost always going to look like faint, fuzzy smudges of gray or white.
No dazzling colors.
The human eye just can't see color at those low light levels. A camera can collect light for hours to build up that color, but our eyes can't do it in real time.
So what technique does the book teach to get the most detail out of those faint smudges?
It stresses the use of averted vision. It's a great trick. The rods in your eye, which detect low light, are on the periphery of your retina.
So you see faint things better if you look slightly away from them.
Yeah, you look just to the side. It takes practice, but it's vital for picking up subtle hints of structure in those distant gray targets.
Let's move to a more balanced analysis. The book is praised for its clarity, its charts, its expectation management, but for a deep dive, we have to look at its limitations too. What are the common criticisms?
Well, the main weaknesses are pretty specific.
Yeah.
First, the astrophotography section is very basic. It covers simple stuff like star trails or taking a picture with your phone through the eyepiece.
So if you want to get into deep, long exposure shots with tracking mounts and computers...
This is not your book. It's focused purely on visual observing.
And the second major criticism goes back to those amazing charts.
Yeah, they heavily favor observers in the Northern Hemisphere, North America, Europe, most of Asia. If you, the listener, are down in Australia or South America or Southern Africa,
The maps won't work for you.
the techniques will, but the maps won't. You'll need a supplementary guide for the southern sky.
So, after all these decades, why does Night Watch still hold up as the gold standard? Why should you still pick this up today?
It's the whole package. It takes all that practical advice, the binoculars, the dark skies, the realistic views, and puts it into a single, encouraging volume. Its final lesson is really about turning this into a lifelong thing.
So encouraging you to keep practicing, joining a club, going to star parties, keeping an observation log.
Exactly. Keep Keeping a log is so crucial for seeing your own progress. It frames the hobby not as a quick hit, not an instant gratification thing, but as a commitment to sharpening your skills over years. You're training your eye and your brain to work together.
So this deep dive into Night Watch gives you, the listener, everything you need to start effectively. Start simple, prioritize those dark skies, and use physical charts to build your own map of the heavens.
And if we circle back to that core lesson of patience, the most important skill, the real discovery isn't just finding an object for the first time. The profound satisfaction comes from the skill you build over months and years at the eyepiece.
It's that moment when a little gray smudge, which was just a fuzzy spot last year, suddenly shows you a hint of a spiral arm or a subtle change in brightness.
Yes, not because the object changed, but because you changed. Your eye has learned how to truly engage with the faintness of the light.
The universe rewards that patient effort.
And that slow, peaceful building of skill, that lifelong habit of discovery, that's the ultimate takeaway Dickinson offers you. The learning never, ever ends. And the longer you look, the more you see.